Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hi there and welcome to New Life Live. So glad you're here today, and I've got a special guest. Well, one special guest is Dr. Jim Burns. He's right there, good friend, colleague, and Dr. Jill Hubbard is in the house.
Yes.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Glad you're here. But, you know, the other day I was thinking that probably a lot of folks wonder what it's like to talk to somebody when you call 1-800-NEW-LIFE for help. And I just thought, well, one of the most kind and gentle and competent people that you could ever meet is my good friend Jeff. And Jeff, are you on? I think you're on.
Hi, Steve. Can you hear me?
I can. And Jeff, you know, a lot of people think they might be talking to a clinical psychologist or something else, but who they're talking to is Jeff. And you have so many experiences, and you're just one of the most faithful, dedicated people I've ever been around. Tell us why a woman shouldn't be afraid to call about her husband who needs to go to every man's battle.
You know, really, and I know that phone can feel like it weighs, you know, the 1,000-pound phone.
Sure.
You know, when they're in crisis and things like that. But when you call here, you're going to talk to a real person that cares. Yeah. And, you know, we can help with, you know, how the imagination kind of runs, you know, and just describe what the workshops are like, what the experience is like. And, you know, most of the time we pick up by the third ring. So, yeah. You know, it's just a good experience overall. No reason to be afraid to call us. We'd love to talk to you.
I think you must take half the phone calls, Jeff, because so many times I'll be at a conference and someone will have had a wonderful experience, and they'll say to me, hey, tell Jeff, thank you for calling me back that day or saying what he did that changed everything. And when you're talking to somebody, what is it? What's your hope as you're just hearing what they're saying and wanting to help? What's your biggest hope there?
Well, I think that, you know, they give themselves a chance, really, and get to the help that we have that I know that can help them.
Yeah.
And, you know, we have just so many, you know, examples of, you know, they came to us sometimes not even wanting to actually attend, not even wanting to be there. And then they go through the experience, go through the workshop, and you get this, you know, testimony of, oh, goodness, we should have done this 20 years ago. We should have done this 30 years ago, you know, things like that. And that always, Steve, is so good.
And, you know, while that's a wonderful thing to hear that they should have done it 20 years ago, I wish they had done it 20 years ago because they would have had 20 years of a different kind of experience. And so I always have this sense of urgency for people. Don't wait to the last minute. But, Jeff, encourage somebody to call Jeff at 1-800-NEW-LIFE, please.
Well, just give us a call. Again, you know, I know the phone can feel heavy, but you're gonna. It's just as easy as calling a friend, and we're just going to have a conversation, and we're going to talk about the areas we can help you. So, you know, please don't be afraid to call. We'd love to hear from you.
Thanks for being there, Jeff. 1-800-229-3000. We'll be back right after this with New Life Live, and I'm so glad that you found your way to us today. All we have to offer is some truth that hopefully could be touching and then lead to an amazing transformation and a testimony that people will remember for a long time.
It had become very apparent that some of the things I was involved with were taking over my life.
In today's world, men are barraged with inappropriate content and images all day, every day. Some say that certain behaviors are just no big deal. It's just part of being a guy. But it's simply not true. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere. New Life's Every Man's Battle Workshop can help.
After 7 years, just one weekend, a completely changed man.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle Workshop.
He said, I think this is something that every man should go to. Married, dating, it was definitely life-changing.
The Every Man's Battle Workshop is being held online as a one-day event Saturday, September 9th. To find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com.
I just can't say enough of what New Life has done for our marriage.
1-800-NEWLIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here, and I've just been surrounded by wonderful people, talented and skilled and knowledgeable people. Jeff, Jill, Jim. Everybody on the program today has the letter J in there except for me, and that's okay. Let me tell you what Isaiah 46 says. 46:9 says, "The Lord commands, remember your history, your long and rich history." This is our 35th year in a long and rich history of people supporting us so that people like Jeff could be on a phone when folks need us most. If you could help us, please do in our 35th anniversary. $35, $3,500, $35,000, whatever, we'll send you, if you're watching on YouTube, a little tote bag that has a zipper on it, and that's our way of saying thanks. It's not much, but it's something, our way of saying we are grateful to you, and we know the people that receive the help that they need are grateful also, and we're grateful that you support the radio program, which is broadcast so far through podcast, radio stations, the internet, all over the world. Thank you to all of you for letting us have a rich history, 35 years. Let's go to Thomas, Washington, D.C. Listens to the great station WAVA, and we're really glad that he does. So, Thomas, welcome to New Life Live. How are you today?
Hello, everyone. I'm well. My issue is I get easily discouraged, and it's hard to take a job. It's hard to stay on a diet plan, and I try to fast, and then I don't know. I forget why I started. I just get discouraged and overwhelmed in the process. So I really don't know how to describe it.
Okay. Well, Thomas, how old are you now?
33.
And when did it become apparent that things were really difficult for you? It was hard for you to follow through and stay on something. When did that start?
Maybe when I was just recently, actually. It seems like before this, I was just scattered. I didn't know. So, but now it's getting down to the point where I need to make a change.
Okay.
Stick with it, and I don't know which direction I go as well. Okay. So.
Well, I think this sounds very typical of somebody that would come into your practice, Jill, and need some assistance. That's what we're here for. That's what you do. What do you say to Thomas? Sounds like life is really hard.
Right. Well, I think when we have thought of everything we know to do, everything that our minds come up with, right, and it seems limited, and we constantly feel discouraged and overwhelmed, then we need to pair with someone else that can help to broaden our perspective and help to kind of see things maybe from a different point of view that can help point us in a different direction, Thomas. being easily discouraged and overwhelmed could mean so many things, right? And I think you need someone to kind of tease out, what does this mean about Thomas? What have been times when Thomas hasn't felt this way versus times when he has felt this way? Or is it this pervasive feeling that you just keep feeling like you're knocked down and you can't keep up? So having someone sort through that with you, and maybe then coming alongside you, if it's depression, if it's ADHD, there are helps for that. If you are perfectionistic and have just really high expectations for yourself, someone to talk through that can really help to lighten the load. So you could need anything from a psychiatrist, a psychologist, to maybe even a life coach to help you get unstuck. So I think there's a lot of hope out there for you, but all by yourself, and even the idea of reaching out for help can be really overwhelming. What do I do? Where do I turn? So you've called the right spot, because we have lots of helps.
Jim, you have a thought here?
Well, actually, Thomas, what I hear Jill saying is, what's the story behind the story? So it's tough to keep going. It's hard to have the confidence to, get up another day and look for that job or whatever. And so what she's saying is, find out what the story behind the story is. And again, that's where you go get an assessment and you talk to somebody. It's not like you have to do long-term counseling as much as just say, hey, what do you think's the issue? And maybe they'll help you find those issues. And then also, I have a Thomas, believe it or not, in my life, and I'm trying to lose some weight. And so Tom and I have decided that we're going to check in once a week together. And honestly, I was actually in Guatemala yesterday, and I got on a plane and I got to Dallas, and I had a 5-hour layover because of a problem. And I so badly wanted to go and get some nibs, Twizzler nibs. That's my thing. And I didn't do it because I was afraid I was going to have to tell my Thomas that I went and got the Twizzler nibs. So I made it. Okay, now I've had Twizzlers when I've had to say to him, I didn't do so good. It wasn't Twizzlers, but maybe it was like, pie. But you know what? Find somebody who you can talk with on two levels. One is the deeper level, and then find somebody that you can talk with and let them become your accountability partner. And guess what? They probably have that same need. And sometimes I find in helping somebody with the same issues I've got, it helps me make good decisions.
Well, I want to say this, Thomas. There are some people, these coaches, counselors, therapists can help also, but there are these coaches that would just look at your situation and give you some really great steps to take, and then they'd help support you in those steps. And I hope maybe somebody would hear this and they would give you a scholarship for one of our coaches that we could put you with, because really they're so amazingly effective in impacting the direction of a person's life. And a lot of people don't even know that these coaches can help with this kind of situation when you're just down, where nothing is working. They really can help you get back on track. So I want you to hold on. Let's see if we can find a great coach for you that can help, and they're really not limited. They can do this virtually from all over. A lot of times people just don't know that there's another resource that they can tap into. Also, I want to say this. There are about 1 billion people like myself who have found parts of their lives where they've said, I cannot change that. I'm powerless. I know that God can. And we enter into a process, and it's difficult, but we let God help us do that. And He helps us through other people. He helps us through actually working through a process. That process is well done in the Life Recovery Bible. I'm going to send that to you with a workbook, and I hope that will be of help to you. I don't know of any other time where I've heard of so many people shutting down, being frustrated, not knowing which direction life is going to take them. It's a very tough a time of uncertainty. Do you find that to be true?
I think it's so true, and we have to run with other runners. There's a scripture in Hebrews 12, 1-3, and I was thinking about Thomas on this, but it says run with perseverance. And we can't run with perseverance if we don't link arms with others because others are going through some of this too, and it's a tough time. But there are people who are persevering and making it because they are persevering, but I don't think they're doing it alone. You can't do this alone. You need to be, with other runners, if you would, who can help you, get to that finish line. And there's great hope at the end of that finish line, but sometimes it looks so bleak.
Well, there are two things I think that need to stand out in the Christian faith. Of course, one, forgiveness. I mean, the foundation of Christ dying for our forgiveness. But the other thing is community. Jesus had a community of 12 men, and all through the New Testament we see problems and solutions for the communities that were gathering together. And the toughest times in my life are when I forget to develop or build or have community. So that's something.
Community is so good for melting away shame, right?
Amen.
Because we build things up in our heads and we think, oh, we're horrible, right?
Yeah.
So embarrassing. And then you go into community and you realize, oh, it's really not that big
Yeah.
a deal,
Yeah.
right? I'm more okay than I thought.
Yeah.
And then there are those communities that are really good at shaming you.
Shaming you.
Yeah, right on in there.
You want to find
Well,
a healthy community.
1-800-229-3000. Let's go to Jerry. Jerry's calling from Dallas, Texas. KWRD is the station he listens to. Hey, Jerry, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are y'all?
Doing all right. Headed your way, I believe, on Wednesday or Thursday. I don't know. It's going to be a great time in Dallas, though. I always love coming to Dallas. What's on your mind, and how could we help?
I was wondering, is it wrong for a Christian to be cremated?
That is a great question. Jim actually has studied cremation, and Jim has wanted me to be cremated many times when we've traveled and spoken together. What do you think,
Jerry?
Jim?
I've tried to cremate him, and
exactly.
see, here's another J too. So we're going to start
Jerry,
calling.
yeah.
So we've got Jill, Jim, Jerry. Now we're going to call you
Jeff.
Jeevan.
Jeevan.
Okay.
And we had
Yeah. Well, Jerry, it's actually a great question, and it has a couple of different ways of looking at it. One is the Orthodox Church, and actually the Jewish world, don't believe in cremation. If you are a Protestant, then it's kind of between you and God. And I always say, for people like this, I just say, listen to what the Holy Spirit says to you. There are reasons why the Orthodox Church believes this, and I actually have a great respect for the Orthodox Church since that's not the world that I'm in. I don't have a problem with cremation. I'm doing a memorial service on September 8th, and the woman was cremated, and she actually had her ashes spread at sea, and we said she's now with Jesus. That's not her body, but I do understand and respect those who would say that. And I know people who would say, I don't want to be cremated. I want my body, buried under there. And so again, I think it's one of those questions. The Bible isn't specific. Certain things in the Bible are very specific, and then we're to follow and obey the authority of Scripture. It wasn't talked about, and it wasn't done when the Bible was written. So I think it's up to you. God gives us freedom in our mind and in our hearts.
Well, and sometimes you're right. It depends on when we grew up, right? And it kind of creeps me out. And my kids say, we're going to cremate you. And I'm like, no, you're not. That creeps me out.
Right.
But
yeah, no, you know what? I think that, Kathy and I have a difference on that, where I have no problem with it in my own life because I'm going to be with Jesus.
Right,
To be absent, on earth is to be with God. And she's like, yeah, I'm not sure I want that. You know what? That's beautiful.
Right.
Yeah.
I know my kids say, so you want to be eaten by worms instead,
There
right?
you go.
It's like, okay.
Those kids.
Well, the good news is that for Jerry and for us, because of our
We won't be
relationship with
here.
Christ,
Yeah.
we're with God in heaven.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've always said that cremation was just a dust acceleration process. It gets you there quicker.
Yeah.
My mom wanted to be cremated, and we did that. I personally, my first car was a convertible, and I've always driven a convertible. And my kids are going to put me in a wooden box, simple wooden box, with a convertible top on it that will lift up during the service and then go back down before I go under. It's just something we've got going there. I don't think it's a big deal. I know it's a big deal to people, but I do think the big deal is that person a believer that every time they sinned, that sin had been taken care of, the penalty of it had been taken care of by Jesus dying on that cross, being resurrected and in heaven waiting for us to be there. That's what I think is the big deal. And I'm really glad you called. It's always an interesting question. And because you called, I'm going to send you Every Man's Bible. It is the best-selling men's study Bible. Just got my copy from Tyndale of the 4 millionth copy of Life Recovery Bible. And I just am so thrilled to get that. And they were so nice to send it. 1-800-229-3000. That is the number to call. We hope that you will. I want to mention that we have a great workshop coming up, and it's called Every Man's Battle. And the registration ends on Friday. Men's lives change dramatically, and often because the woman is the one that makes that first phone call. Now, September 9th is when it's going to happen. It's online, and but if you register by the 25th, you get to save $120 on that workshop. It's not just somebody speaking, but you're doing work with real live Christian therapists that love God and love you. They've been where you are, and they want to provide hope and help and healing there. 1-800-NEW-LIFE, Every Man's Battle.
My girlfriends and I have been searching for so long to try to find an event to attend.
Lumina is a new women's conference designed to inspire your faith so you can lead and live confidently from God's Word.
It was nice to come here and just realign myself with who God says He is in my life.
The Lumina Conference is a 2-day experience. 1 full day of worship and teaching in Museum of the Bible's World Stage Theater, and a half-day guided tour through Museum of the Bible.
You are literally immersed in the Word of God. You can walk through the Old Testament. You can walk through the New Testament.
Lumina is for women of all generations, cultures, and denominations. It's a great place to gather with women from your church and community.
You want some fellowship and you want to be strengthened? This is the place you want to be.
This year's Lumina Conference is October 27th and 28th in Washington, D.C.
It was absolutely life-changing.
For more information, go to luminawomen.org.
I've been listening to New Life for many years, gone to a few workshops. I want to support a ministry that helps people connect with God and with others and gives them the tools to help transform their lives.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of all 8 100-day devotionals, including 100 Days of Healing, 100 Days from Freedom from Shame, and 100 Days of Freedom from Anger. There are also ongoing benefits like the monthly Club New Life CD or download, access to the Club New Life video library, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, discounts on workshops, and quarterly online meetings with Steve. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back. Steve Arterburn here with Dr. Jim Burns, Dr. Jill Hubbard. You know, the culture that kids live in is a screen-saturated culture. We do our best as parents. We hope the school system's doing a good job. But in reality, the culture of the screen is directing so much of the content that kids believe, so many of the values that they accept. Dr. Alice Benton and I, we wrote this book together. She did the heavy lifting, and it's really, really good. Understanding and Loving Your Child in a Screen-Saturated World. And one of the great pieces of research shows that just limiting screen time is not helpful, and just letting them do whatever they want to do is not helpful. But limiting screen time and then engaging with them is the way to go. In other words, if you've got a high school student, be the one that says, hey, I found this app that can help you in trigonometry, or I found this app that helps high schoolers really get the principles of government or whatever. Maybe there's a game that you discover you'd like to play with them. See, it's engaging in something that is their whole world for many people, or they think it's their whole world, versus just saying, I don't want to have anything to do with that, and I'm just going to keep you off of it. We need to keep them off of it a lot, and we need to limit a lot. But the research shows engaging with them appropriately from the youngest age in an appropriate way is the best way to go. Our daughter gets 2 minutes of social media a day, so we do limit, but we love to engage. If you give a gift of any amount today, we'll send you a copy of Understanding and Loving Your Child in a Screen-Saturated World. It really is a great book, a big help if you've got kids of any age that are living at home, even beyond. All right, let's go to Marcy. Tampa, Florida is where she's calling from. We're glad that she has called us, and here's the number if you want to join us, 1-800-229-3000. Hello, Marcy. How are you today?
I'm okay. You?
Okay. All right. Well, what's going on?
I have a question. I would like to know from a Christian perspective, professional perspective, what your thinking is about polyvagal theory and somatic body work.
I don't have an opinion about that. So tell us what you're talking about. And I'm so sorry I'm uninformed.
That's okay. I have dissociative identity disorder.
Okay.
And I can be in the middle of an anxiety attack, and I have no idea that I'm even in the middle of that attack until way after the fact. There's a lot of consequential factors to that, and I'm operating in the sympathetic nervous system instead of parasympathetic, or parasympathetic. Sorry, and I'm working with a counselor even, and my counselor quite often asks me, "Okay, where are you feeling this in your body?" And I can't feel anything in my body. And I know that sometimes I am panicked, and so I feel like I can't get a breath. That's the only thing that I can feel. Other than that, I have no idea where I feel things in my body.
So,
all right.
So Marcy, how is it working for you? How has been your experience of it? You just gave us a little bit.
What do you mean? How is what working for me?
These theories, this orientation.
Oh, I just found out about this recently and how the brain works,
right?
Sympathetic versus parasympathetic, and polyvagal, and all of that stuff. And I'm just wondering, it sounds, particularly as it pertains to somatic body work.
Right.
I'm thinking about trying it, but then I want to know what the Christian perspective of this is. Would I be sinning to do that?
I don't think that falls under the realm of sin. When you dissociate, anything to bring you back into the present and to integrate the parts that split off is helpful. And that is a lot of the work. The fact that you are disconnected from your body, right, because you don't feel safe. And so, then when you get triggered, when you have feelings that come up that feel similar to a traumatic experience, right? You go away as a form of protection, and your body doesn't know necessarily. Your brain isn't aware of, that was a long time ago. That's not happening now. It just knows this feels really similar. I'm in danger. I better do something, because we go into our primitive brain. So these theories actually have been studied quite a bit, and they've been quite effective for people to kind of reintegrate and be more connected to their bodies so that they can not go to that place of panic constantly. So it sounds like you're already on a journey. I would be talking to your therapist about it, and then maybe tapping into maybe an additional, person that can add that to what you're already doing.
Yeah. Marcy, you sound very, let me just say this, you sound very articulate, very bright, and you're calling us and you're wanting a Christian perspective, which leads me to believe that if you were involved in something and it wasn't right, for whatever reason, that you'd be able to say, that I'm just not going to do that. Maybe somebody is practicing this in a very, not a healthy way. I think you could figure that out, but just in general, it doesn't sound like it's an anti-biblical practice somebody helping you. There are all sorts of great studies on the body remembering things that many of us have forgotten with the mind until we get in touch with the body. We'll have a couple of comments on that when we come back. You're listening to New Life Live. If you want to join us, 1-800-229-3000. If you need some help, 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. Chris Williams on coaching.
Oftentimes I get asked, what is the difference between therapy and coaching? The biggest difference between the two is that a therapist is going to be looking for a diagnosable mental health condition, whereas a coach is going to look at a particular issue and help a person work through that.
If you need a coach, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been trained and screened with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
If you're looking at an issue in your life that you just kind of want to change, whether it be your weight or leadership or other areas of behavioral patterns, check out coaching. There can be some really, really helpful things for you.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 and talk to us about getting a New Life coach. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here with Dr. Jim Burns, Dr. Jill Hubbard, your phone calls. And I just wanted to, we often have people ask us questions about things that, is it biblical? Is it Christian? Is it a sin?
Yeah.
And it could not be biblical, but still be a sin, and it could be sinful. And anyway, it can be very confusing. And I think we have some broad things that are okay, and there's some particulars of that can really be sinful. And it depends on the person that's doing it. That's the main. If they have a track record of great and wonderful, loving and biblical stuff, then that's who I want to go to. Not the person that has weird things hanging out the windows and in the lobby, little statues, things like that. All right. Anything else you guys want to say about that?
I think Marcy's on the right track. I love that she asked, is this a sin? Because I think we all have to check our spirit, ask that, and sometimes we don't know. People will say to me, is it a sin to take medication? Somebody prescribed antidepressant or something. And I said, no, absolutely not. God is a part of even that aspect of it. But we should be asking those questions. Sin means to miss the mark. And Marcy was asking, is this something that I shouldn't be looking at? Well, no, I think...
Right, like is this a fringe kind of weird therapy that takes you askew from Christianity?
Right.
And no.
No, exactly. So what we'd said was go get some help and talk to the right counselor, get the insight and wisdom from them. That's biblical.
Right.
And don't take it to such an extreme that you would see it as sin. But this isn't sin. This is getting her life together so
trying
she can
to repair
exactly
what has been taken from her, right? And our
Yeah.
bodies, are intricately made by the Lord, and so learning more about them and how they work is
absolutely
not a problem.
I'm going to send you Healing is a Choice. I hope that you love that book and you make those choices, because it really can help us to get the most healing. Even if it's not physical healing, we can do things that set us up for healing, such as forgiveness. when we forgive, it is a healing act for us, not the other person necessarily. Let's go over here, and how about we talk to Sandra, South Haven, Michigan, Sirius XM satellite radio there. Sandra, how are you today, and how can we help?
Hey, I'm good. This is in Mississippi, though, not Michigan.
I am so sorry. I usually make 17 mistakes per program. There we go. Sandra,
I hear you.
what in the world's going on down there in Mississippi?
I just moved up here from Alabama because I'm raising my 2 grandkids. I'm 75, and I needed different surgeries, and my son had a house he was going to flip, and he's let me move up here and live in it where he can help me with the kids sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I got friends up here too, but they both got ADHD, and my grandson, I've even put him in a home over in Arkansas back in April because we've been kicked out twice because of things. He's real impulsive, and he says stuff to get attention. But lately, since we've been up here and I'm still trying to unpack, I get real angry and I lose it with them, which everything I read about ADHD, you can't do that. I mean, I'm acting just like them.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm screaming like they are, and I've even cursed a bunch. And, you know, we read devotion every morning before they go to school, and we talk about when we read Proverbs in the morning and Psalms at night. And we talk about it. But now they're getting to where they're getting aggravated with it. And
Sure. Well, you know, yesterday we had a special guest on, and one of the points she made in her book was that the adults, we and parents, we need to be the calmest person in the room so that we can.
I know.
And I'll tell you, a child like me with ADHD can really press you to beyond the limits. Jim, what do you think might be something helpful here for Sandra?
Well, first of all, Sandra, at 75 years old, that probably was not your plan to be raising your grandkids.
Right.
And I just want to affirm you because it's not easy. And it's tough being grandma and parent because you've moved from grandma to now parent. And parent means you've got to help set those boundaries. And you're asking the right questions about their ADHD. Have you gotten help from somebody? Is there any?
Yeah, when we were in Alabama, we had counseling and all that stuff once a week, and we did all this stuff. But since we've been up here, it's been real hard to get them on Mississippi Medicaid, and it's real hard to. Yeah. I finally got something. It said like 6 months. All these big counseling places for the kids, but I found one in Senatobia, Mississippi, which is about 30 miles from us. They're going to see them September the 6th, but I'm also needing help. You know, I got prayer this morning from a friend down in Pensacola because I'm just losing it. I mean, even my son, when I'm around them, they say that I look mad and sad, and I'm not. I'm just so confused that I keep acting like I act.
Well, Sandra, one of the things that's diagnostic about ADHD is when you feel like they get under your skin, right? When you're around a kid and you're like, okay, this kid is the sweetest kid, but why do I just feel on edge all the time? And so for you, your anger and frustration just shows, oh yeah, these kids, they have ADHD, and that means they're difficult, right? And for them, you know, they're going crazy inside themselves. And so trying a different approach, you're not going to be able to completely control their behavior, right? And so you've got to take different approaches. Sometimes instead of getting louder, you have to get really quiet. You know, sometimes you just have to sit and stop and go, okay, guys, what's going on inside of you? Because a lot's going on inside of me, and this isn't working, right? You've got to try all different approaches.
You do, and let me give you a great resource that has all the great approaches, and it's a website. It's add.org. It's the ADDA organization, and my wife attends the meeting that helps spouses of people with ADHD survive without medication, them not on medication. And it has been such a help to her. And there are groups, well, just the group that she's in, you would benefit greatly from.
Yes.
And they have workshops, they have support groups, self-help groups, all sorts of things. And that's really, Sandra, probably the best thing you could do first is to get into one of these groups where people are saying the same things, or they're saying, here's something that I did that was helpful. The other thing, I've got a book, Understanding and Loving Your Child with ADHD, and I'm going to send that book to you, and I hope that that will be a great blessing to you. But I think if we don't, sometimes people don't medicate the children, and then they're the ones that need medication because they are just so unruly. And I hope and pray that you'll check out this website. You'll read the book that we wrote, and that it will make things better.
ADD.
Jill, do you have another thought here?
She was asking. It's ADD.org is what Steve said, Sandra.
ADD.org.
Well, and Sandra, I'd also be aware of the fact that you just moved, and so all the support systems that you guys had in place, you're having to start over from scratch. And that's a lot. So I would give yourself a little grace. Take some deep breaths, right? And realize, okay, you're having to reinvent things, as well as having, left those places. So there may be some grieving that you're doing too.
So good.
Sandra, when you get the tools, and that's what they're saying, when you get the tools, you can go to ADD.org and get those tools, as well as the book that Steve is going to read. Read that book cover to cover, because when our daughter has ADD, and we went, I guess we do it this way. So we needed somebody to teach us how to do that when our daughter was young, and it really has been a difference. I still think about it, and my daughter is a lot older than when we found out she was diagnosed with ADD. So get that information.
I tell people all the time that I think me and the ADHD is probably the greatest gift I have. Gotten to do a lot of things because of it, and it's probably been just the worst thing for a lot of people around me. It's not funny, I know, but it is kind of funny. All right, so we want to encourage you there, and as Jim was saying, wow, what a task you've taken on there. And whether a person has ADHD or not, they must respect the office of the parent and the grandparent. And that's just common sense. They have to find a way to respect their grandmother. And if that's a problem, then you're going to have to get some help from a man that could step in and help, or another mother that could step in. But you need that respect. And whether you have ADHD or not, you can still be respectful. All right, we're going to go hear the music. We'll take a break, come back. 1-800-229-3000. We have something for you. Whatever it is that you're struggling with, pretty much in 35 years, we've found a resource that works. And the thing that we've developed for marriages is October the 20th in Dallas, Texas. And you come in, you work with counselors, you hear great material, transformational material, life-changing. And so many people that didn't like each other have the marriage they've been looking for. And others went from mediocre to great. We'll tell you about it, 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 Steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back, and over our 35-year history, women have been the focus of so many things we do, such as the big conference, Women of Faith, 5 million women. Well, we've started a new conference in a partnership with Museum of the Bible and the Inspire organization. It's called Lumina. That event is going to take place October the 27th and the 28th. Only 900 women can go because the auditorium is 450 people. That's their max versus an 18,000-seat arena. It's intimate. It's powerful. If you want information on Lumina, just go to luminawomen.org and come join us where you will be, it happened last year, inspired to get into the God's Word like you never have before. It is an amazing event. One woman said to me, it's the most perfect women's event I've ever been to. Great teaching, and then you experience the Bible through the Museum of the Bible also. 1-800-NEW-LIFE, we can tell you about it, or you can go to luminawomen.org. Now, I also want to remind you that we're listener-supported. And we need your support here in year 35, and I'm suggesting a gift of 35 something. And if it's all you can do is 35 cents, great. You're on our email list then. And for a gift of any amount, we will send you the book we've been talking about here, Understanding and Loving Your Child in a Screen-Saturated World. It could change everything for your child. Please call us. Jim, you were just talking about a situation. What was that?
This was my New Life week. I was speaking at a conference center called Mount Hermon. You've spoken there. And 2 people came up to me and said, New Life mentors me. In fact, I sent you, Steve, a text with that woman, Judy.
Yeah.
And she just talked on and on, but then another person did. I go to Guatemala. I was speaking at a wonderful family conference in Guatemala City, which you said around the world recently. And I thought, I think some of our listeners forget that this is missional. Those people in Guatemala are probably not going to ever pay or ever do the 35 cents or 35 whatever their money thing is, but they're listening, and they use the word mentor. 2 of them did. So how interesting to be mentoring from afar. And so when somebody gives a gift, we're not typically thinking somebody in another country is listening, but they are.
Right.
So this was my New Life week.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
awesome. Thanks for sharing that. And, of course, I know who that Judy is, and she's traveled all around with us, and we love her. All right, I hope you'll hold on. I've got another program we're going to do right after this, and the phone number, 1-800-229-3000. But let's go to Kathy, Allensburg, Washington. KCSH is the station. Hi, Kathy. Welcome to New Life Live. How could we help?
Yes, I've been listening to you guys since my kids were little, and it's changed my life so much. And now it would have been like, yes, back Meyer Minnesota, that you were there, Steve.
Yeah.
And so my kids are in their mid-30s now. And one of them came home from the during the pandemic and got a job, and I've got a son with Down syndrome who's just a love, and then I have a daughter. Well, and so their dad, my dear husband of 43 years, has this narcissistic behavior that I've heard you guys talk about.
Uh-huh.
And I know he had an alcoholic father who died when my husband was 15. But so the deep hole that I'd heard Jill mention that they're trying to stay a step ahead of on a different show I heard. I'm wondering, as a spouse, how to help fill that deep hole. And I have to say, too, we have a lot of fun together. We share interests, But then there's just always that, well, why did you buy that? It's not healthy or to eat, or what are you going to, he used to say all the time, what are you going to do for exercise today?
Okay,
But
so
I
you're
keep
asking
a
Jill,
step
how do you
ahead of
fill
that.
the hole? How do you solve that wound problem?
Yeah.
Okay. Jill?
Thank you.
Well, and Steve, I think you could answer this too. Kathy, I think just in your example there, where he kind of lashes out about certain things, it's really easy to, kind of be taken back and just respond to the lashing out, right? But if you can step back and attend to maybe what's behind the lashing out, right? Like what's getting triggered for him. And if you can lean in with kindness and calmness, that can help diffuse. Most of us naturally want to get defensive, right? And
Sure.
What do you mean, right? And we go, and so then this argument, and then it's, a standoff or whatever. So it's like, okay, there's always something underneath when there's that negativity or that reactivity, right? And someone that's been really wounded, right, has been perhaps criticized a lot, has been hurt a lot, hasn't been seen or heard. And so they're giving you back some of the hurt, right? But they're unaware that they're doing that. So to be able to see that and to actually have empathy, and it kind of is counterintuitive, because when you're with a narcissist, the last thing you want to give them is empathy, right? It's like, oh my gosh, they never see me. They never see me. They don't deserve my empathy, right? But you kind of have to see them first. And once they can receive that and feel safe enough, then it comes back around.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if he is aware that he might have a narcissistic tendency or two.
No, his mother was a PhD psychologist, and he's a doctor, and no, he knows. He knows.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Well,
so there's a, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I do think that it's important that you be curious about him in an appropriate way.
Yes.
Sometimes
Yes.
that curiosity of just kind of a random, I'm just wondering, can kind of connect the two of you in a little different way. But usually the deep wound is very, very hard to get him to talk about and to share, and thus all of this compensating behavior to make up for it. Well, I'm going to send you Understanding and Loving Your Person Who is a Narcissistic Personality Disorder. It's a great little book. I hope you'll like it. Also, let me send you Every Man's Bible to give to him. It's a Bible that many women say the husband never read the Bible much till they got that one, and I hope he will enjoy it. In the meantime, thank you all for being part of what we're doing here. And what we're doing here is using God's truth and trying to provide that in a way that in the context of redemptive relationship transforms lives. And, of course, for that to happen, you might feel a little bit uncomfortable. So we've never thought of ourselves as a ministry to make people feel bad, worse, but also not to just feel great either. Because sometimes a little Band-Aid that makes you feel great can hide a deep infection or wound below. So what we want to do is we want to come alongside, understand you, and try to help you in the honor of God's truth and word that transforms lives in redemptive relationship. If you need help, there's somebody right now that would love to talk to you at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That person might sound like Jeff or it might sound like Jenny. We've got men and women who wake up in the morning loving doing what they do because lives get changed. So if you need help, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. I want to mention that on November the 3rd in D.C., our Restore Workshop is happening with Christian counselors for you women who've been hurt by a man with a sexual integrity problem. It really is a transformative experience. My thanks to Dr. Jim Burns, Dr. Jill Hubbard, and to all of you who support us, listen, watch, and pray. Thank you. Call us if you can help us or need help, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And the Lord willing, we're going to see you right back here tomorrow.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW